Welcome back. Part 3 for Wednesday, July 6, 2022. Haven't heard the first two parts? Please do so. Like what this channel stands for. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when the next video comes. Share God's work. Share it so that all people deserving of it can see that the Lord is good. Read from the Common English Version of the Bible. That translation, amongst others, is found in the YouVersion app. It's in the App Store and Google Play, depending on what you prefer and what you're using. So let's reconvene with Numbers 30. Numbers chapter 30, verse. Moses spoke to the leaders of the tribes of the Israelites. This is what the Lord has commanded. When a man makes a solemn pledge to the Lord, or swears a solemn pledge of bond and obligation for himself, he cannot break his word. He must do everything he said. When a woman makes a solemn promise to the Lord or a bond and obligation while she is young and in her father's household, and her father hears her solemn promise or her bond and obligation for herself and keeps silent, then all her solemn promises and any of her bond and obligations for herself will stand. But if her father expresses disapproval to her on the day that he hears her, none of her solemn promises nor any of her bond and obligations for herself will stand. The Lord will forgive her because her father expressed disapproval to her. If she marries while her solemn promise is in effect, or makes a statement by which she binds herself, and her husband hears it, and on the day he hears it, he keeps silent, her solemn promises will stand as well as her binding obligations for herself. But if on the day that her husband hears it, he expresses disapproval to her, he can break her solemn promise and the statement by which she bound herself, then the Lord will forgive her. Every solemn promise of a widow or divorced woman who makes a bond and obligation for herself will stand. If a woman makes a solemn promise in her husband's household, or makes a bond and obligation for herself with a solemn pledge, and her husband hears, keeps silent, and doesn't express disapproval to her, then all her solemn promises will stand, and all her bond and obligations for herself will stand. If her husband breaks them on the day he hears them, then whatever she said with regard to her solemn promises or the bond and obligations for herself will not stand. Her husband has broken them. The Lord will forgive her. Her husband may allow any solemn promise or any bond or pledge of self-denial to stand or be broken. But if her husband keeps silent from one day to the next, he has upheld all her solemn promises or all her bond and obligations. He has upheld them because he remained silent on the day he heard them. If he breaks them after he has heard them, he will assume her guilt. These are the regulations that the Lord commanded Moses concerning a husband and his wife, and between a father and his daughter while she is young and in her father's household. That's Numbers chapter 30. Now, let's go to Deuteronomy, beginning with chapter 9. Deuteronomy 9. Listen, Israel, today you will cross the Jordan River to enter and take possession of the nations larger and more powerful than you, along with huge cities with fortifications that reach the sky. That reach to the sky, I should say. These people are large and tall. They are the Anakim. You know, I have heard what the people say. Who can stand up to the Anakim? Know right now that the Lord your God, who is crossing over before you, is an all-consuming fire. He will wipe them out. He will subdue them before you. Then you will take possession of the land, eliminated them quickly, exactly as the Lord told you. Once the Lord your God had driven them out before you, don't think to yourself, it's because I'm righteous that the Lord brought me in to possess this land. It is instead because of the nation's wickedness that the Lord is removing them before you. You aren't entering and taking possession of the land because you are righteous or because your heart is especially virtuous. Rather, it is because these nations are wicked. That's why the Lord your God is removing them before you, and because he wishes to establish the promise he made to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Know that the Lord your God isn't giving you this excellent land for you to possess on account of your righteousness, because you are stubborn people. Remember, don't ever forget how you made the Lord your God furious in the wilderness. From the very first day you stepped out of Egypt until you arrived at this place, you have been rebels against the Lord. Even at Horeb, you angered the Lord. He was so enraged by you that he threatened to wipe you out. When I went up on the mountain to get the stone tablets, the covenant tablets that the Lord made with you, I was up there 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread, drank no water. The Lord gave me the 2 stone tablets written by God's finger, and on them were all the words that the Lord had said to you on the mountain, out on the very fire itself, on the day we assembled. And at the end of those 40 days and nights, the Lord gave me the 2 stone tablets, the covenant tablets. Then the Lord said to me, get going, get down from here quickly, because your people whom you brought out of Egypt have ruined everything. They couldn't wait to turn from the path I commanded them. They made themselves an idol out of cast metal. The Lord said to me, I have seen these people. Look, what a stubborn people they are. Now stand back. I'm going to wipe them out. I will erase their name from under heaven. I will make a nation out of you, one stronger and larger than they were. So I went down the mountain while it was blazing with fire. The 2 covenant tablets were in my 2 hands. It was then that I saw how you sinned against the Lord your God. You made yourselves a calf, an idol out of cast metal. You couldn't wait to turn from the path the Lord commanded you. I grabbed the 2 tablets and threw them down with my own hands, shattering them while you watched. Then I fell before the Lord, as I have done the previous 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread and drank no water, all because of the sin that you have committed by doing such evil in the Lord's sight, infuriated him. I was afraid of the massive anger and rage that the Lord had for you. He was going to wipe you out. However, the Lord listened to me again in that moment. But the Lord was furious with Aaron. He was going to wipe him out. So I also prayed hard for Aaron at that time. And as for that sinful thing you made, that calf, I took it and burned it with fire. Then I smashed it, grinding it thoroughly until it was fine as dust. Then I dumped that dust into the stream that ran down the mountain. I also had Taberah, again at Massah, and then again at Kibroth Hattahath. You have been the kind of people who made the Lord angry. Then when the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea, telling you, go up and take possession of the land that I'm giving you, you disobeyed the Lord your God's command. You didn't trust him. You didn't obey God's voice. You've been rebellious toward the Lord from the day I met you. But I fell on my knees in the Lord's presence. 40 days and 40 nights, lying flat out because the Lord was planning on wiping you out. But I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, my Lord, don't destroy your people, your own possession, whom you saved by your own power, whom you brought out of Egypt with a strong hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Don't focus on this people's stubbornness, wickedness, and sin. Otherwise, the land out of which you brought us will say that the Lord wasn't strong enough to bring them into the land he promised them, because he didn't care for them in the least. He brought them out to die in the desert. But these are your people, your own possession, the people you brought out by your great power, your outstretched hand or arm. That's Deuteronomy chapter 9. Let's see if we can read 19 real quick. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 19. Deuteronomy 19. Once the Lord your God has eliminated those nations whose land the Lord your God has given you, and you displaced them, settling into their cities and their houses, you must designate 3 cities for your use in the land the Lord your God has given you to possess. Mark out the roads to them, and divide the regions of the land the Lord your God is apportioning to you into 3 parts. These cities are the places to which a person who has killed can escape. Here is the rules concerning a person who killed someone and is permitted to escape to one of the cities and live. If it is someone who killed their neighbor or his neighbor accidentally without having hated that person previously, or if someone goes into the forest with a neighbor to chop some wood, and while swinging an axe to cut down the tree, axe head flies off the handle and hits the neighbor, who subsequently dies. These kinds of killers may escape to one of these cities and live. Otherwise, the blood avenger will chase after the killer out of rage, especially if the distance to one of these cities is too far. May catch up and kill him, even though a death sentence was not in order, because the killer didn't have prior malice to the other. This is why I am commanding you as follows: designate 3 cities for your use. Now, if the Lord your God enlarges your territory as he swore to your ancestors, and he will give you all the land he swore to give to them, as long as you keep all this commandment that I am giving you right now by doing it, by loving the Lord your God, and by always walking in his ways, you can add 3 more cities for your use, along with the first 3. Innocent blood must not be spilled in the land the Lord your God is giving to you as an inheritance, or it will be bloodshed that will be required of you. But if someone does hate a neighbor and ambushes him, rising up against him and attacking him so he dies, and escapes to one of these cities, elders from the killer's hometown will send word, and the killer will be sent back from there. They will hand him over to the blood avenger, and he will be killed, or he will be executed. Show no mercy to such killers. Remove innocent bloodshed from Israel, so that things go well with you or for you. Now in the land the Lord your God is giving you in your allotted property that you will receive there, you must not tamper with your neighbor's property line, which has been previously established. A solitary witness against someone in any crime, wrongdoing, or any sort of misdeed that might be done is not sufficient. The decision must stand by 2 or 3 witnesses. Now, if a spiteful witness comes forward against someone so as to testify against them falsely, the 2 persons who have a legal suit must stand before the Lord, before the priest, and before the judges that are in the office at that time. The judges will look into the situation very carefully. If it turns out that the witness is a liar, that the witness has given false testimony against his fellow Israelites, then you must do to him what he had a plan to do with his fellow Israelites. Remove such evil from your community. The rest of the people will hear about this and be afraid. They won't do that sort of evil thing again, or they won't do that sort of evil thing among you again. Show no mercy on this point. Life for a life, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot. It's Deuteronomy 19. More to come with part 4 in the corner. I'll be right back.